guys. You know what this is all about. So have a good day today. Nice and easy on all the pit stops. Nice and smooth, no mistakes. Hit our buttons, hit our jack post, get a full of fuel. No problem whatsoever. Let's go get him. Tighten your belts up. Ready? All right, man, here we go. These cars off. 2, 1, green flag.
And a good Saturday morning. Welcome in, racing fans. Your 1320K fan, Racing Fan Radio. Shane Beck along with Leslie, Olson, Steve Schoenfeld, and Billy Hesterman behind the glass. Hope you're having a great Saturday morning. Be careful out there. The roads are slick.
Hey, Steve. He said my name before yours today.
Yeah, it's 2014.
I love it.
That's my New Year's resolution, to put you ahead of Steve.
God, that took a lot of effort, didn't it?
Good morning,
Hope you don't
folks.
hurt yourself.
We've got a big
Happy
show
New
in
Year.
store for you. NHRA Mellow Yellow Series. Nothing happening there, so we're not going to talk about it today. No, we're not. In fact, we're going to talk about a guy that set the 240-mile-an-hour fastest time. First guy to go 240 mile an hour who passed away here. His name is Gordie Bonin. They know him was known as 240 Gordie. We'll talk with Brad Janewshski, one of the closest friends to Gordie Bonin, and find out a little bit more in depth about his life. Also, we're going to talk Monster Energy Supercross as the guys kick off their season in Monster Energy Supercross at Anaheim 1 tonight at Angel Stadium. We'll preview that. We'll tell you who's on what bikes and a whole different change in how they're going to do things.
And who's going to be watching from home?
I'm guessing that would be you.
No, there's a couple riders who are going to be watching from home.
Yeah, there are a couple of those.
Yeah.
Also, we'll talk with Jay Maloney, who he is a rider who's going to be at the Maverick Center tonight, competing in the World Championship Ice Racing Series. Raced there last night as well. We'll talk with him this morning. And then NASCAR. Brian France reflects on 2013. He also enlightens us on the reduction of officials and the future technology in NASCAR. He also tells us what NBC is going to do differently for us this year in 2014. And he's going to talk about incentives of winning. That coming up in hour number 2. Plus, Andy Granatelli, a flamboyant racing figure, dies at the age of 90. We'll talk about how instrumental or how influential, I guess you could say, he was in automobile racing from Indy as well as NASCAR.
Oh, yeah.
Big STP, CEO of STP.
Grand Am.
Yeah, Grand Am.
He had his fingers in a whole bunch of stuff, and most recently, New Car Street Performance products.
Mario Andretti, Al Unser ran for him.
A couple guys drove for him.
Also, Richard Petty, so we'll talk about him. And then, of course, Michael Schumacher, Formula One driver, still in critical condition following a skiing accident, and we'll talk about that as well, hour number 2. So lots to talk about. As we mentioned, we are going to kick it all off talking about 240 Gordie, Gordie Bonin and Steve.
That's a cute nickname,
Isn't
240
that cute?
Gordie. Yeah,
that is
cute.
Well, I'll tell you what, in the day when Gordie laid down that first 240-mile pass, 40-mile-an-hour pass in a funny car, it was a big deal. I mean,
What
that
was
one
it
of them,
before that? What was the, remember?
I think it was 237. So he knocked it pretty good. And, every time you move that mile-an-hour mark by a mile an hour or more, it's a big deal. Well, it's a big deal.
There was no question that Gordie Bonin left his mark on in the world of drag racing from 1972 to 1981. The colorful funny car driver from Red Deer, Alberta, Canada, won a share of national events, and he did a lot of things in his life. I didn't realize until I had a chance to really look into everything he's been involved in. And one of the things I didn't realize is that he was big in the marketing of Las Vegas Motor Speedway in its infancy.
Yes.
And I had no idea that he was so instrumental there. And a guy that knew him most, and we know and love and have him on our show many times every year, who owns Fire for Hire, and you've seen his jet cars out at Rocky Mountain Raceway. He brings in several of them to put on a show for the Utah, Salt Lake City fans. Brad Janewshski, let's bring Brad on now. Brad, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing very well, thank you. Well now.
What's the matter, Brad? You say well now.
Well, we've had a real tough go up here, guys. I mean, we got that. Heather and I both, my wife Heather, who drives the Hurricane Jet dragster, and I both have the H1N1 flu going on for a couple of weeks now, and that's just a horrible deal. Heather's tougher than I am, and I think she finally got out of the house a couple of days ago, and I think she slept through Christmas and New Year's, and that's been real bad. And then, of course, as you know, Steve, that brake fluid addiction I have, I finally got that licked.
Is that the pig flu?
That is, I think that is a swine flu, but they renamed it so that, you know, people would not stop eating bacon. What do you mean?
You guys are...
Did you... So...
What are these pigs doing oinking in the background here? You got the pig flu?
Hey,
oh boy, sorry about that.
So, did you go to a rehab or for your addiction or what?
Addiction, the brake fluid addiction. The whole family had a big intervention. You know, they took me aside and settled me down. But I told them I could stop anytime.
Very nice.
And you know, Mike Ames from Rocky Mountain Raceway, I told him that joke in September, and I don't think he's got it yet.
No.
Oh, my gosh, that's funny.
Mike's slow, if you know what I mean.
We'll have to explain it to him.
So let's talk about 240 Gordie. You knew him probably better than anybody. Of course, Gordie from Canada, and first off, let's just start off in his early part of his career. 1983 to 89, he served as NHRA's director of marketing and marketing services manager. As he raced in '91, top fuel driver for the late Gordie Ormsby, who was battling cancer. He also, he did so many other things. He was behind the wheel of the Candies and Hughes Smokin' Joe's Funny Car. Tell me a little bit about Gordie's life.
Well, you know, and the list goes on, and you touched on, I think let's start from the very beginning back in the good old bubble-up funny car days. And, you know, that was simply, he set the world on fire, you were right. And the gal there, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, said, it was a cute name, 240 Gordie. And you know, cute name, I'm a guy, but I can say it, a cute guy. I mean, Gordie was just the guy that had a smile on his face and full of life and energy at any given time, and the kind of guy, a man's man that you wanted to be around and hang out with. And when, you know, those Canadians went down to the Florida at that time with that car and set the world on fire, you got a guy that used to drive a Chevelle drag car. They decided to poke in a funny car and literally set the world on fire. And, you know, Gordie went out, he was just such a natural. And on that particular run, Steve, there's a little bit of a story behind it. I believe, if I remember correctly, and memory does fail me over years, it was Gainesville, Florida. And the car had been running fairly well, and everybody was kind of knocking at that door, but Gordie went out and ran that car. On that run, is a famous story about it, is that back in the day, he used to run a manual oil pressure gauge and a line going up to oil pressure. And when Gordie, in the burnout, the car shook real hard, and the line broke off the gauge and started flowing oil everywhere. So Bonin puts his thumb over the oil line and backs the car up, stages the car, and makes the pass, and, you know, sets the world on fire. It was 240-mile-an-hour pass, and everybody was just, wow, Gordie, you know, that was so impressive, and, you know, you just had the insight to, you know, do that and do the make the car go and win the round and everything else. And he was up at our place here in October, and, that story went on for years. He comes up in October for our Thanksgiving. I don't know why we have it earlier than you guys do, but him and his 92-year-old mother came to the house, and I sat him down in front of, you know, friends and family and said, Gordie, you got to tell me. I said, whatever possessed you to put your thumb over that oil pressure line? And it's a quickness of mind to do that in that high pressure of a situation. And in Gordie's words were, well, I got this brand new fire suit, see, and that line came off and it was getting all icky. And he actually said the word icky. So I put my thumb on it because I didn't want to ruin my fire suit.
Icky?
Icky.
It's icky?
And that was Gordie. That was whatever it took to go down the other end of a racetrack. So, but you're right. And then throughout the years, with his employment with NHRA, he did a bunch of wonderful things with NHRA and was well loved there. And then, Gordie just always had to get back into a race car, no matter what he did. And that prolonged dragster tour and touring over in Europe and Sweden and whatnot was just phenomenal for Gordie. He set many, many records over there and won many, many championships in Europe. And we all kind of thought he disappeared for a while, but he was just over doing what Gordie does best, driving cars. And then, there's many other that we all forget about. Drove for Craig Smith in the Spokane area and Topfield Dragster. Anything and everything for Gordie to drive was what Gordie wanted to drive. And, of course, his passion was funny cars. And, you can never take away the first man on the planet to go 240 miles an hour. And anybody that met him just instantly fell in love with the fella. And for the wonderful things he did, too, I don't know if you're aware of, but Gordie was a major player in the Make-A-Wish Foundation and used to do many, many fundraisers and benefits and travel all over the country doing fundraisers and stuff. And a lot of people don't know that about Gordie.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. I understand from what I read that he never did hit the 300-mile-an-hour club. He was 297 at Brainerd in 1994 in the Smoke and Joe's Mustang, but never quite hit that 300-mile-an-hour mark.
That was exactly correct. It was one of the things I asked him about any regrets, and he just looked the right guy and said, never went 300. Did everything but and close enough. But, close counts and horseshoes and hand grenades, right?
Yeah, but, if that's the only thing you leave on the table, I'm not sure that it's that big a deal, really.
No, not with the long line of the wonderful things he's done in the sport and for the sport.
He loved the sport in many ways. In '96, Gordie was a marketing director at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. In fact, now we know it as the Motor Speedway. At that time, it was just starting under construction, and the only track that was really there, that track was under construction, but the 1.5-mile clay oval that the World of Outlaws sprint cars run on, those were really the only two tracks, other than maybe the old bull ring, that Gordie was promoting. But he helped kind of build that. He said he had the pleasure of showing folks like Rusty Wallace, Richard Childress, and John Bickford, who is Jeff Gordon's stepdad, around the property and the excitement that was built there as what we know Las Vegas Motor Speedway now. He was in the infancy of it.
Correct.
So, in driving a funny car that long, I mean, that's granted, when he was driving the Smoke and Joe's car, I'm sure he didn't have to pick up a wrench, but how much of the work on the cars did Gordie actually do?
Surprisingly, not much. Gordie was more of a driver than some guys are mechanics and drivers, and some guys are just drivers. Gordie was certainly a driver, and he was definitely good at driving, so they kind of kept him in that area. And I always said he could drive anything, but he didn't know how to start his car half the time, his personal driver's car, because he loved anything with a Hemi, and he just bought recently a new Hemi Dodge truck, and just because it had a Hemi in it was all you heard about was, it's got a Hemi. Look, it's got a Hemi. And that was Gordie, and that was as far as that went, I think. Certainly take it to the shop for an oil change.
Oh my gosh, he took it to the shop for an oil change. That's funny.
So, in all your time spent with Gordie, because I know you guys were friends for a long, long time. What's your best memory?
Well, I think to some of those going down the road stories, we spent a lot of time because Heather and I raced that Pacific Northwest a lot. Let me back up. When I raced the funny cars, the Alco cars and Nitro cars, that was kind of my backyard, and as well as Gordie. So we happened to spend a lot of time traveling back and forth to, say, Spokane or Seattle area from the Red Deer area in a pickup truck, and just many, many, many stories about going. You know what it's like riding in a pickup with somebody for 8 or 10 or 12 or 14 hours. You get to know them pretty good. Just the stories of going down the road and the laughter, and always the laughter. There was never a dull moment. There was always something funny doing. Gordie's such a prankster, such a funny guy, and just loved to laugh. So I would have to say that simply just the going down the road. Remember, and it always started. Every story always started with, "Hey, remember when we were somewhere?" and it went with that. And so many of those things you forget over time. And as you get bumped into somebody, and you sort of jogs your memory, and you go, "Oh yeah, remember this or that guy or whatever," and you'd forgotten about it. Other than the fact that when you bump into a guy like Gordie, you can't forget because he remembered everything always. And so I really enjoyed those days the most. I mean, usually it was Heather and I and our Pomeranian dog Bear and Gordie in the back seat, and Gordie just loved that dog. He was always on his lap doing stuff, telling stories. He'd tell the dog stories, for God's sakes.
I read a quote from Gordie. It says his most memorable NHRA moment was going to the 25th anniversary of the U.S. Nationals as number one. Said Bona about the 1979 event at Indianapolis 500. We were the fourth funny car member of the Krager 5-second club. We took the speed record away from Don the Snake Pardon, and we won Indy. It's pretty tough to beat that deal. I have no regrets, and I was just a fan of the sport who was lucky, and I was in the right place at the right time and got the right opportunity. Pretty
well
cool.
Said, Gordie.
Very good.
Do you ever try to talk him into climbing into a jet car?
I did, and matter of fact, I did. As a matter of fact, at one point in time, we had before we had decided whether Heather made the decision to drive the Hurricane Jet Dragster at that point in time. Gordie and I had long conversations about him driving that particular car, and it was decided that it was made for Heather, and she was going to do it. And if she didn't want to do it, then it'd be Gordie's ride. But Heather fell in love with the car, and we went on from there. And then later, here as recently as a year or two, we were going to do a sort of a publicity stunt and not take away Jaron Mott's ride, but put Tim Boychuk, ex-Top Fuel or still Top Fuel dragster driver, in the tank, and Gordie and Mater, and make a pass at Salt Lake City, which never happened, and I'm sad to say it didn't.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's I love the name 240 Gordie. It's interesting how names come about, nicknames come about for different folks, and that one kind of stuck.
So, yeah.
Kind of like the one I come up with for Steve, Early Levy Stevie.
Oh, that beats the crap out of what it used to be.
I like that one.
Early Levy
I couldn't come up with one for Red Light, so I just go with Early Levy Stevie.
And I can't catch a break here, Brad.
When are we gonna see you guys, the Fire for Hire team here in Salt Lake City on at Rocky Mountain Raceway?
Well, you know what? I'm trying to put together a whole bunch of stuff for this season as we speak. We've got a bunch more racing to do than we did last year. Going to go back to some places we haven't been in a while, like Denver, Colorado again, and for 4th of July and some things like that. And we're working on a bunch of things. I'm not taking anything away from our good friend Tim Boychuk, but some of the dates in his schedule are going to conflict with ours. So we're going to, I'm proud to tell you and announce to you that we're going to license another Salt Lake City boy named Cooper Wheatley in the tank for a sort of a backup driver, or a driver when we need him to start with this year. So we're going to come down to Salt Lake City and do that. And I'm trying to put together a bunch of, many times as we can come to Salt Lake City this year. I think we'll be there a bunch this year. So looking like a real busy schedule, and really excited about this year. Everything's working well, and matter of fact, our Mater car sits in Salt Lake City, and the tank's down in Arizona, and the funny car and drags are up here in the nice warm country, and we're rebuilding those ones, and it's going to be a heck of a good season again. I'm really looking forward to this year, and especially with how much time I want to spend in Salt Lake City.
Don't, Beck. I can see the look in your eye.
What?
You've got something stupid to say.
No.
Don't.
I'm going to take it easy on you today. It's 2014. I have a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All right, Brad. Good to have you on the show, and thanks for the insight on Gordie. It's good to have you join us and tell us a little bit about your friend and such a good man in the racing community.
If I can, guys, before we go, the memorial service is here at Crossroads Church at 1 o'clock today in beautiful, balmy Red Deer, Alberta. And then
balmy?
Yeah, it's going to warm up to minus 25 here today. And you know you're Canadian when you say warm up to minus 25.
Wow. Wow.
And so we're gonna do that service, and then we're gonna go over to the Legion and have a sort of a massive bench racers ceremony afterwards. So I think it's going to be a fun day to sort of celebrate and remember all the wonderful things Gordie did in his life, and get to see a whole bunch of guys in the off season in surroundings where everybody's got a story to tell. So I'll be a wealth of information after today.
All right, Brad, take it easy, and we'll talk with you later here in 2014.
I look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks for having us.
There he is, Brad Janewshski, good friend of Gordie Bonin, who passed away here not too long ago.
Not too long ago. Pretty unfortunate.
240 Gordie, a guy that a lot of folks will remember.
Which is way better than your nickname, Steve.
Early Levy Stevie.
Where did you come up with that one?
I don't know. I just come up with it.
It just flew out of your mouth.
Early Levy Stevie. We'll have to put that on the side of the hot rod. All right, Steve, before we cut out of NHRA and drag racing and work our way into our next segment, which we're going to talk Monster Energy Supercross, any other news in drag racing that you can think of?
Well, one thing here locally that is pretty cool, Jeff Isbell bought a Pro Stock Camaro and a bunch of engines, and the guys at Fast Lane Machine, Mike and Larry, are going to be helping Jeff with the engine program. It's going to be doing some testing here later this month in Vegas. Greg Stanfield is going to drive the car in testing, and pretty excited to see Jeff back out in the big show.
That's cool.
I mean, that's a ginormous step, and it takes a pot full of money and a lot of dedication to step into that fray. Just to qualify.
Is there a new family member in the Schoenfeld family?
A new family member?
Yeah, and maybe an Opal.
Well, it's really odd you bring that up. My brother. Well, actually, the both of us, we've had a fondness for, or actually, it's more of a love affair with the Opel GTs, 69, 70 Opel GTs, and there have been some of the coolest race cars ever. With that body, and most of them are, of course, they're full-on race cars. But Matt bought a Opel GT funny car from up in Boise. Car's been around for a while. It is just badass.
Yeah, and I saw it. It's pretty cool.
He bought it to play in the Hot Rod Heritage Series, and looking forward to seeing it on track. And if he doesn't have enough hair to drive it, I know somebody dumb enough to drive it. So we've already talked about that, and he already told me to pound salt. So
are you talking about Early Levy Stevie?
That's really odd. Yes.
All right. When we come back, we'll talk Monster Energy Supercross. It kicks off tonight. Anaheim 1. Next, Racing Fan Radio right here, 1320 KFan.
This is Racing Fan Radio, brought to you by Beehive Bail Bonds, on the only station powered by you, the sports fans. The all-new 1320 KFan.
It's challenging. I have a lot of respect for these 450 guys. It takes a toll on the mind and the body.
With the field the way it is, it kind of shows you that it's so deep.
To be a part of a year like this, it is, to me, it is the most stacked class.
Everybody's at the top of their game here, so you can never count anybody out.
It is nice to be on the big bike full time and to be racing against the best guys in the world.
I think everybody sitting up here is going to go and race as hard as they can. Every one of our goals is Anaheim.
All right, here goes that 30-second board, counting down. Nerves going up. RPM's about to max out. Crowd on their feet, ready to go here.
Who wants to be the next AMA Supercross champion?
All right, AMA Supercross. The Monster Energy Supercross Series kicks off tonight at Anaheim. Anaheim 1. And can he do it? Ryan Villapoto. Can he do it? Can he win 4 straight championships? This is the year to do it, if he's going to do it, and tie the record of Jeremy McGrath. 4 straight would be incredibly awesome. Could he do it?
I don't know that anybody's got anything for him.
Well, there's a lot of good talent.
There's a lot of fantastic talent. I don't know that anybody's got anything for him.
That's pretty bold of you to say. I mean, you look at
that. It is what it is. Honestly, there's just. He is that dominant. Be interesting to see, a couple of changes on guys, different bikes, most notably Chad Reed. Chad Reed moving from Honda to Kawasaki. That's going to be interesting to see how that that plays out.
Ryan Villopoto could tie Jeremy McGrath with 4 championships if he was to win it this season. How does his career stack up with with that, trying to make that accomplishment? Here's what Ryan Villopoto said about his career.
I think when you start, when you become pro, it's. I don't think at least I didn't look that far in front, and was put a goal in place, and was trying to meet those big expectations. And you try to take it one race at a time, and one championship at a time, and you put all this work, and you try to surround yourself with great people, and you just try to keep the ball rolling. For me, with kind of where the sport's gone, I guess, kind of back in the day, there was always guys that were racing, 1 or 2 guys. I mean, look at this table here. Now I'm sitting over here on the very, very left side. It's changed just in the last couple of years. There's a lot of guys up here, so to win just one race is huge, and to win a championship against all these guys, it's also going to be very hard. So, for me, I'm taking it, trying to take it slow and trying to take it one race at a time.
Ryan Villopoto obviously respecting the competition that he's racing against. He knows it's not going to be easy. There are some tough customers in the 450 class in Monster Energy Supercross.
No question. I mean, you know that Dungey's not going to lay back, and just hand it to him and accept the fact that Villopoto's got it covered. But I got to tell you, after watching these guys last year and the last couple of years, Villopoto hadn't got hurt a couple of years back, then we already may be talking about him going for 5.
If you remember right, a year ago, Ryan Villopoto did not fare very well at Anaheim 1. And, of course, we come out of Anaheim 1 going, this is not his year. Early in the season, he rebounded well, had a rough start. Does that bother him? And also, would it bother him if he doesn't win 4 in a row to tie Jeremy McGrath?
I mean, it would bother me, but that's not what drives me is to make it 4 in a row. Honestly, I've won 3 in a row, but it kind of starts over every year. We're here, and we'll just try to do it again. And if that's what happens, and it makes it 4 in a row, then that's kind of where it lays.
I think he's just going to go into this season I'm going to do it. I'm going to let the chips fall where they fall. I'm going to give it everything I got every single race and let the chips fall where they fall. And that's the attitude you have to take.
Yeah. You realize these guys they have to ride with reckless abandon to be able to do what they do. Look, you get hurt. Your season could be over in a heat race in Anaheim 1. There's no guarantees for anything.
James Bubba Stewart, he won the Cup here not too long ago. Won the they used to have it was the $1 million, I guess it's the $1 million race. They call it the Cup now. He won that, and
Monster Energy Cup.
He took home $100,000. He didn't win the trifecta, but won two races, and took home $100,000. So he's in better shape. He talks about how he's in better shape than he's ever been before. But here's James's comment on winning the Cup, and he's ready for Anaheim 1.
The Cup went great. We learned a lot. We came out here with a victory. With the changes and stuff, to be honest, I won so many heat races that I don't even remember ever going to semi. So I think I can't remember what year they changed it to the 9-man format and stuff, but I think it's cool. I think the track deteriorate a little bit more. I think it gives the guys a better chance, because even sometimes I've been to an LCQ and it's nerve-wracking. I was just watching the race up there with Ryan last year, so I think that's pretty cool. But I don't know, I feel good. We had a great off season, the healthiest I've been in a long time. I feel good. I think me and the team, we had a lot of work. We just built off the Cup, from that victory, and looking forward to racing on Saturday.
So there he is talking about winning the Cup in front of 34,000 fans at Sanborn Stadium. He won 2 of the 3 main events, and that netted him a $100,000 prize on the Ricky Carmichael design track.
You just have to win 3 out of 3 to get the mill.
I think Villapoto is the only one that's done that so far.
So far.
All right. He did mention and touched on a format change. He kind of said that he's used to that. He usually transfers from the heat races anyway, so it's not going to be a big deal for him. What he's talking about is Monster Energy Supercross has changed their format this year. They're going to go from they're going to shorten their heat races and run 2 semi-mains, so they'll take the first 4 transfers of each heat race. So the top 4 guys will transfer over. That'll give them 8 from the 2, so that'll give them 8 total competitors that'll automatically transfer into the main events. And then the semis they'll take 5 from each semi. Okay, so that'll give them 18, and then they'll have a last chance qualifier at the that will take 4, and they're going to run 22.
So they're going to put 22 bikes out now instead of 20.
Yeah, 22 bikes instead of 20, which is what they've done in the past. So, it'll be exciting. There's a lot of new guys, going to be running 450s. Eli Tomac is stepping up to a 450 this year. Be running with Team Geico as he did a year ago. Nothing really changed there. Eli comments on stepping up to the 450 class.
The good thing for me, like Will said earlier, we are on the same team, so it's not a totally new program for us. Obviously just making that step up to the bigger bike. So I also had a really good off season. Just preparing with testing and all that stuff. So so far it's been good, and I'm ready to go do battle also.
Eli Tomac's going to be a strong customer in that class. Look forward to watching him. One of the guys that finished second last year in the championship standings, Davey Millsaps. He's going to be on a new bike. He's got a new bike.
Well, actually, he's not.
Oh, he's not?
He's hurt. He's done for the season.
Well, I know you. You didn't let me get to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When he does come back, he'll be on the KTM. But you're right. He is hurt, and he will be out for a while. Here's Davey talking about the KTM and his recovery from his injury.
Oh, it's been great. The guys over at KTM, the guys on my team, we've all came together and been working really hard on it and testing and the bike got really, really, really good before I got hurt. So it's definitely a bummer that I'm not out there, and I would definitely like to be. But I'm actually kind of pumped on the bike. It's great to work with a manufacturer that really wants their guys to win. I got hurt right before Thanksgiving, tore my ACL and my MCL and all that stuff, so I ended up having it fixed. So I'll be back as soon as I can.
Coming back from an ACL injury or MCL injury is a long...
Time-consuming.
It is. It's going to be a while. I don't know when he'll return, but it could be a while for his recovery. And that'll be too bad because Davey really put on a show for the fans last year. Boy, he really come to life last year versus the years previous to that. Not saying he hasn't been a good racer. It's just that Davey come out of nowhere.
He really stepped it up last year, and it was a breakout year for him. It's a shame that he's hurt.
One of my favorite riders, and I don't know why, I just like him, Chad Reed, is going to be on a new bike here in 2014. He is jumping from Honda back to Kawasaki. He's going to be on a Kawasaki. He was on a Kawasaki before. Here's Chad Reed talking about the new bike in 2014.
Luckily a lot. For me, it was about riding every bike, and I'm probably as surprised as everybody that I chose this bike. But after the last time I was on it, but it is what it is. Bikes change. We saw that last year, and I'm just gonna go do my thing. I think this year I'm healthy and try to do the best I can and put the bike and me and more than anything discount tire on top spell.
Chad Reed has been. I think last year a lot of people commented that Chad might be getting a little up there in age and maybe he should step away. I don't know. I just think that everybody else has stepped up their game and everybody else is better. Chad is, as he commented there, is coming back in good shape. He feels good. He did have some injuries. He had that injury where he launched in the outdoor series here over a year ago.
It's hard to forget how lucky he was on that crash.
I like the guy because when he rides all out. and you got to respect that.
Absolutely. Well, in this series with these guys, if you can't ride all out, first off, you're not even going to qualify. And there's guys that ride with everything they got that still can't qualify.
Chad Reed commented on his thoughts on the new format. How will that change things? What does he think about it?
A lot's obviously changed over the years. I think when I rode some West Coast races in 2002, I think there was semis and stuff that year. So it'll be different, but the same thing all at once. Kind of like James. I mean, Anaheim has a lot of pressure, a lot of hype around it, but when you've been here a time or two, it's just kind of funny. You can kind of take it in, enjoy the moment, and it's it can be lost here but can't be won here, and it's definitely much easier when you start grinding out, and there's a pecking order that starts to form by March. So everyone's got high expectations this weekend, and they're all coming off of a lot of downtime. So it happens at this first race, so you gotta be careful.
A lot's different, but a lot's more the same, and it's not new to a lot of these guys that have been in the series. They've used to run a semi format in the past, and they went away from that. I think they went away from that mainly because of the way the TV was with speed. They had to run things a little bit differently. But now that they're on Fox Sports 1, they're able to change a few things. And in fact, you can see that race tonight on Fox Sports 1 at 8 p.m. Here Mountain Time. Should be a good opener. Anaheim usually is, of course, a lot of excitement, a lot the atmosphere. I was following a lot of the guys.
And of course, everybody's really excited to get off to a good start. It takes a little bit of the pressure off, and there's a lot of races ahead of them. But finishing up front that first race is going to make a big difference in everybody's attitude on the team.
Yeah, it will, but let's not get too excited with Anaheim 1 because the season's long and a lot can happen. As we've seen, injuries take a toll on folks, on the riders. A lot can happen, and so what happens tonight may not tell the tale. As Brian Villapoto proved it out a year ago. I mean, he had a rough start, and everybody was like, "Oh, this isn't the year of Villapoto. It's going to be somebody else." And he proved to come back strong and ended up, making it happen. We all got on the Davey Millsaps bandwagon, and rightfully so. He put on a show for everybody.
And he did. And he finished the season very well.
Leslie, your favorite rider?
Chad Reed, he's cute.
Okay.
Kevin Windham was because he's cute.
Yeah.
But Kevin Windham retired.
Retired, yeah.
She picks her riders or drivers based on
Dungy,
the way they look.
I could go with Dungy, though.
And if they have her favorite sponsor, like the M&M's
candy. Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's not where I figured that was going, but that's a welcome relief.
Steve, who you liking for the opener tonight, Monster Energy
Steve,
Supercross?
Did you notice Steve knows who's cute and who's not?
Yeah, I've listened. I do listen. I do pay attention. In my personal opinion, they're all butt ugly, but that's just me. Yeah, I gotta go with Villapoto. He is just so strong coming into it. I don't see anything changing. He's healthy.
Who do you?
He's just a bad man. There isn't anybody.
Who do you think will be the second dog in the fight this year?
Dungy.
Yeah,
I really do. And it was just like Wyndham said on the show last year. There isn't anybody that can accelerate through the corners like Ryan Villapoto.
Team manager of that operation, Roger Decatur, has been very critical of Dungy, I think that's more of a psychological thing, probing him, firing him up.
Trying to freak him out.
Yeah, firing him up a little bit. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Should be a good year. Hey, don't count out James Stewart this year. He's come back. I was going to
ask you about that.
He's come back more in shape this year, I think, than ever before, and
he's still got Daddy running the reins.
I think Daddy's right there. Yeah,
if Daddy's running the reins, we might see something from him.
Daddy needs to be a little more involved. Malcolm might pass.
I know. I was thinking that too. I wonder
we might see Malcolm be the new Stewart. There's a new Bubba in town, and his name is Malcolm. All right, when we come back,
Steve's favorite person. World
Championship ice racing at the Maverick Center. We'll talk with writer Jay Maloney next. Racing Fan Radio right here, 1320 K-Fan.
You're listening to the #1 racing show Racing Fan Radio. Brought to you by Beehive Bail Bonds. Only on the all-new 1320K Fan.
All right, welcome back. Racing Fan Radio here. Shane Beck along with Steve Schoenfeld. Leslie Olson.
Your New Year's resolution just went out the door.
Let me back up. All right, welcome back. Racing Fan Radio here. Leslie Olson, Shane Beck, and Steve Schoenfeld. How's that? You feel better now?
Oh, I was first on that one.
Good
I like
Lord.
that.
Billy, these women are sensitive.
I know we
Weren't
are.
resolutions made to be broken?
Yeah, that's true. Most people do, like
On
within the first week.
try. Yeah, first day, the first hour.
Speaking of resolutions, New Year's resolutions, have you had a lot of our fat friends starting to come in, starting to pour through the door?
It's starting to get a little crazy.
All right, the place you want to be if you want to lose those pounds is Absolute Weight Loss and Nutrition Center. There you have two locations, one in Orem at 529 North, 1200 West, and the other one is on 47 East Fort Union Boulevard in Midvale, the new Salt Lake location.
Yeah.
Right by Hooters.
Right by Hooters, 2 doors down. Yeah.
Goodness. Yeah, good location.
Yeah,
huh?
get in there. They'll get you on a program.
Yeah,
They'll
excited.
get you set up. They'll weigh you. If you're tipping the scales, it's a little more than the scale that they have. They have a freight scale. They can accommodate any capacity, whether it's a few pounds or a lot of pounds. They can help you out, and you also have nutrition bars and nutrition oatmeal and whatever else. All kinds of protein stuff,
Yes.
right?
Yes, we have some good stuff.
Yeah, so you have the HGC program. Is that what it is?
HCG,
That's
yeah.
the one, the
Yeah.
HCG program.
Yeah. And we've got some great specials because it's the first of the year. So
but
give us a call.
The traditional medical weight loss program is a more of a natural way to do it.
It is,
Yeah.
and I've created a new way of looking at it so that it's visual. You're not counting anything. You're not counting calories. You're not counting proteins, carbs, and fats. You're looking at your plate and you're knowing it's balanced.
That's
So
an upside for you, Steve, because you're not very good at math. You don't have to worry about counting. It's all pictures.
Count this.
Hey.
I believe that is one.
Easy does it. Easy does it, early Levy Stevie.
Oh, boy.
All right, so give them a
It's
call,
getting bad in here.
385-226-1156, 385-226-1156. They'll help you out. All right, we're going to talk a different type of motorcycle racing, the World Championship Ice Racing Series, and we're expecting a rider, Jay Maloney, to join us here this morning.
If Steve doesn't get stood up, you know how he is.
Well,
he gets stood up a lot.
I was hoping that was going to be his New Year's resolution, to not be stood up, but
I think that's out of his control. Well, I read up on this a little bit. And
all
this
right,
is
so
quite
tell
interesting.
us, now they kicked off last night at Maverick Center.
That was their first one.
And they'll be running again tonight at the Maverick Center as well.
Right. And so what it was a group of guys.
Yeah, well, I'm a little upset that they don't have any results from last night's race posted. But
Oh, I hope everything's okay with this guy.
that's what I was thinking.
Okay, so
You mean maybe hit the
40
wall?
40 years ago, before I was born, people.
I wouldn't be worried about hitting the wall with what these guys ride. I'd be worried about getting hit by a tire.
Yeah, or something. So 40 years ago, these guys that did just the dirt track got bored during the winter and went out and literally bought
Dirt
screws.
track?
Yeah.
Oh,
what it
like a flat track motorcycle racing dirt track?
Yeah, that's what they
Whatever.
do. They run flat track dirt.
Anyway, Steve.
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
Trying to remember your nickname so I can tease you, and I can't remember what he said. Anyway, so
Early Levy Stevie.
So they literally went to the hardware store and took screws and put them in their tires and started racing on the ice. And that was 40 years ago. So 38 years ago, they started this big thing, and now it's come to pass, and it's crazy, and that's what we're gonna see tonight at the Maverick
Have you had
Center.
a chance to see this in person, Steve?
I have not. I am looking forward to it.
Are you going tonight?
I think so.
I've seen it. I've seen it once, and it's pretty wild. It's different.
Well, and
It is very
there's a
different.
girl in the group. So that was kind of
Well,
cool. to read
hey!
that. Yeah. All crazy. So after the guys race on the motorcycles, then they get the quads out. And the quads, there's no rules. There's 2 rules, and I'm trying to remember what they were, but that's it. Everything else goes. It's all craziness. There's no
rules.
No rules.
Wait, there's 2 rules.
Well, there's
what? You can't use
I'm
a
going
remote
home
control to
now.
ride your bike? What? What's the 2 rules?
I don't
You have to
remember.
wear a helmet
Probably,
and leathers.
yeah. I'm trying to remember. But yeah, it's something like that.
Anything goes, crash and burn, ice racing.
Yeah,
you got to
let's
love
see.
that. The unlimited outlaw quads.
Yeah, that's it. Let's see if I can find the rules. But anyway,
Can't use nitrous or nitro.
is that what it is?
I don't know, but that's a pretty good guess.
Okay, well, you guys
Well,
talk
you know,
while I try to
it's kind of a
remember.
shame that we can't get a hold of Jay, and either his phone's dead or turned off. But, you know, this guy has won 35 championship titles between the flat track dirt and the flat track ice racing, 160 race wins. He's been at it for a while, started at 4 years old. I mean, this guy, this is the guy, this is the Steve Kinzer of flat track racing. It's a little disappointing that we weren't able to hook up yet.
Yeah, Steve usually comes on the show. So
yes.
So 2 significant technical rules. So it's not really rules, it's just technical rules. They have to
Technical
be
rules.
rear wheel driven, and they have to have a Deadman kill switch. So they have to have the little thing that pulls off if they fly off the machine.
Even 16-time world champion John Force comes on the show. Now, Jay must be really busy, or he slept
Speaking
in,
of
or
I just hope he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I'd feel bad if I was making fun of him.
We
when he
are
got
going to
hurt.
get John Force in the next couple of weeks, live from West Palm
he
Beach
loves
and
us
testing.
so. Oh, West Palm Beach. By the way. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You'll
Anyway.
probably have him on when I'm in Hawaii.
Ice racing is these guys are crazy. I can't imagine what would happen to you if you tipped over and got ran over.
Well, I was telling Steve on the way here, seriously, I went through all 4 seasons because it was wet, it was dry, it was icy, it was snowy, it was snowing, it was raining, it was crazy on the way up here. And I told him at break that I wished I had put screws in my tires because
They do make studded snow tires here.
crazy out there.
You can get them, Leslie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not something unique. You can get them.
You can get 'em.
Oh. Can I just go to the store and buy screws off of the...
Well, actually, you have to have tires that are
I don't know
fitted
that I'd
for 'em.
recommend it, but I guess
Yeah,
you could.
well, yeah, actually, yeah, I reckon you could.
Yeah, why don't you go buy some
Hey, now that's
some
not
screws
true
and
because
have...
I've had screws in my tires and I've had to go and have them plugged because they caused
You
it
get
to...
short screws. You don't get like a 4-inch screw running your tire. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Hey, you'll be okay as long as you don't, not like Steven, have a couple of screws loose.
Oh, this is
All
going
right,
so
ice
good today.
racing tonight. What time does this thing start
7
tonight?
o'clock.
7 p.m.
Doors open at 6.
The Maverick Center.
Aren't you so impressed that I know this stuff?
Yeah, it's shocking.
Ah, man.
Shocking.
New Year's resolution.
Usually
Read what
we're
gonna
the
talk
ones
about.
that have to have the information, so you showing up with some information today is great.
I rock. I'm telling you.
Good Lord. Is that your New Year's resolution, to be a little bit more in tune with what's going on in the world
Yeah,
of
I
racing?
had to put a little brown
Instead
in my
of knowing
blonde.
what their sponsors are, who their sponsors are, and
if
how
they're cute.
they are.
No, that's still going to go.
And what kind of underwear they got on.
Oh, yeah, that
If-
one's the crazy
if.
one. I know you were dying to ask Jay Maloney that this morning when he come on, too.
No.
When I was trying to figure out what the rules were, my husband texted me and told me rear wheel only, and the switches. The switches.
It's kind of like they
fall
do in
off
pro
and-
stock motorcycle.
So
and
he
in
was
the,
trying to help me out.
in the Nitro Harleys, they have a tether, so if they fall off the engine,
Well,
dies.
that's what it is when we go out on the on those little things out in the water. You know, those little water things. What do you call those things? Jet skis.
Jet ski.
The little water things, yeah.
Don't you have a couple of those little water things? I was looking at buying them. The fact is, I went down to Plaza Cycle and says, "You got any of those little water things?"
Yeah, go tell your husband to go down and get some screws and a DeWalt drill and put them in your tires. Good idea. And by the way, you ought to change the air in them, too. Rotate the air. Let the air out and put new air in. It'll help. And get some red taillight oil. That'll work, too.
Oh.
But do it.
Make fun of Leslie.
When
I
you
had
put
to
those
do
screws in,
I had to do the tail light oil on Annie's car just last week.
if you don't have a screw... yeah. By the way, if you don't have a DeWalt screwdriver or a drill, you can use a left-handed screwdriver. They work best.
Oh, boy.
All right, when we
Oh,
come
boy.
back, we'll talk NASCAR. Brian France reflects on 2013, also reduction of officials and the future of future technology. Plus, he talks about what NBC will do differently for the sport. Stay tuned. You're listening to Racing Fan Radio right here on 1320 K-Fan.
The only racing show that is caution-free. Racing Fan Radio continues. Brought to you by Beehive Bail Bonds on the all-new 1320 K-Fan.
Hour number 2, Racing Fan Radio. This hour we're going to talk NASCAR. Also, we're going to talk about Andy Granatelli, the flamboyant racing figure who died at the age of 90. Some of you may or may not know him. Who is Andy Granatelli? He was instrumental with STP fuel and oil additives.
He was the man.
Yeah, he was the man. CEO of STP and really put that on the map. He was involved with drivers such as Al Unser, Mario Andretti, and, of course, Richard Petty. We'll talk about that coming up here at the bottom of hour number 2. Michael Schumacher in critical condition, still following a skiing accident in the French Alps. We'll touch on that as well. Hope that things improve for him. But right now we're going to talk about NASCAR, and Brian France had a chance to talk about several things here over the last couple of weeks. One is he reflected on 2013, how he felt 2013 went, in his words. Also, how he felt about the blatant cheating of Michael Waltrip Racing at Richmond.
The blatant cheating.
Oh, yeah.
They cheated?
Wow. The blatant cheating.
You didn't think it was blatant?
Oh, heck yeah, I did. I just can't believe
the reduction of officials and future technology in NASCAR. There's going to be a lot of changes. Of course, the way technology is going, we're going to see a lot of changes. A lot less officials on pit road, and how they're going to use different technology. And then what will NBC do differently for NASCAR, as they have a new contract with NBC as their television company that they're working with now. 2014 incentives for winning. We've always said that they've got to put more emphasis on winning, more incentives on winning.
Hey, I don't mean to interrupt your change of subject real quick, but we forgot to give some tickets away last segment for the ice races tonight at the Maverick Center.
I don't mean to interrupt you, change your subject, but I'm going to do it anyway.
No, I said
I'm only previewing here what we're going to talk about, and right in the middle of it, you want to give tickets away.
That's how I am.
Like I only
want to
had
give
one
stuff
more
away.
thing to mention that we were going to talk about. You could have waited like one more time.
Oh, you're taking forever.
No, forget it. We'll just give tickets away. 801-483-1320 in Salt Lake, 470-1320 in Provo, 670-1320 in the Ogden-Davis area. We're going to give away a family pack of 4.
Yeah.
To the World Championship ice racing tonight at the Maverick Center. If you want to go, give us a call.
They will be in will call.
They will be in will call.
They better be.
Under whoever's name that calls in.
Exactly.
Billy, you just pick whoever you want. I see lines are lighting up. You select one and
pick your poison.
We'll send somebody there, a family pack of 4 to the World Championship ice racing at the Maverick Center tonight,
Go
7
see those
p.m.
Screws in those tires.
You can get
Bring your left-handed screwdriver.
Bring your left-handed screwdriver. I know Leslie will be bringing hers. All right, Brian France.
Oh, there goes the lights.
Yeah, they're lighting up like a Christmas tree. I love it. People want to go. We got to find 4 more. We got to find some more tickets to give away.
Let me see what I can do. I got all the power in the world.
You got a serious connection. I love it.
Where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, I'm like, whoa. Let me see what I can do. Very nice, Leslie. You work on that. Okay. Brian France reflects on 2013. I personally have said that I felt 2013 was one of the strongest years we've seen in a while for NASCAR. I felt that the car is the best we've seen it in years. It got a little stale for a while. It did.
It really did. It really did. And there was some things that changed with the cars, and there were some things that the owners did with the tracks that, man, it was a great year.
Yeah, it got a little stale, and it not only did it get a little stale, the whole car of tomorrow thing. I didn't think it was a very good car. It was moving in the right direction, but it wasn't near what we thought it was going to be. So they made a lot of changes. They put let the guys put rear camber in the steering, or rear camber, I guess, in the cars. That helped a lot. They, just a lot of different changes with the aero packages and things like that. And
they look like production cars.
Yeah,
a lot more.
And
like
that's
production
good.
cars.
That's what we
that's
wanted.
A big thing.
I didn't like the way they were going with more of an IROC type feel, like everybody is the same look, the same
body, different stickers.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey, let the manufacturing companies be innovative. That's what the sport was built on. And I like it.
Agreed.
So now you can see a Dodge, a Ford, a Chevy. I mean, I guess not Dodge because they're not in anymore, but
which is a shame because that car was cool.
Yeah, the Toyota. I mean, all these different cars, and you can identify them to the everyday vehicle you see at the showroom. So, in the right direction. Is it perfect yet? No, but it's close. It is real close. I know they're trying to make changes with the 1.5 mile tri-oval tracks, and that's what they did testing in Charlotte for. So, yeah, pretty excited about the direction that they're going in. Brian France spoke about 2013 and his reflection on the year.
Well, I think obviously the start with the Gen 6 car, and there were some fair questions and expectations. Would we get that right? And in 2008, arguably we didn't. And I think we changed that in a big way, getting the car manufacturers, the teams, and others all on the same page, and we got a better racing product, which is the center of it all for us, off to a fairly good start. And you go back to California and other very memorable races. And then we rolled in, to May, and as I had been saying, we were going to make some changes in competition in terms of how we looked at our rules packages and separate some things, get some more science and art. We brought in Gene Stefanition, who's been at it for 8 months or so now. And he's making a lot of interesting steps that we're looking at because that's the heart of it all, us getting closer, tighter, and then always safe competition. And then we, rolled into a nice, unbelievably tight chase battle, right, coming into Richmond, and we had what happened in Richmond. And I would say every sport that's large and competitive faces moments where your credibility and other things are tested. And the question is how do you respond? And I think, our team and our group did a very good job under the circumstances and obviously made some tough decisions. And then we rolled into the chase and had a very, very competitive chase. And you're seeing some history made, I think, with Jimmy and his team, and being so good at the right time is amazing. And and then you saw the last thing I would tell you is you saw a mix of things coming in the future. You saw young drivers coming up through various series. They're going to be with us. Kyle Larson being one at the Cup level beginning next year. Darrell Wallace had a bit of a breakout year for himself. First time in a national series in the trucks, getting a win, competing strongly just about every weekend. Probably a bright spot in diversity for the future. A very talented young man. And here we are. We're here in Vegas celebrating, with our industry. And this is a fun time for us. And it'll be a fun time later on today, and it'll be a really fun time tomorrow night. So we had a good year. And and there's some business things that obviously we got accomplished, like, getting our media rights secured for the next decade. That's tremendous for the industry. Great visibility. NBC is going to do a really good job. I'm convinced of that. They're beginning to make their own talent announcements, here in the last week or two, and they'll make more. And they'll change the presentation in a very positive way. So we'll try to get the racing even more competitive than it is today. And we'll work with our TV partners, and we'll work with our stakeholders to make this sport as competitive and as fun and as big as it can be.
Brian France talking about 2013, his reflection on 2013. Pretty excited about the direction of where NASCAR is going, according to Brian. A lot of good things happened this last year, and a lot of great expectations for 2014. He touched on NBC as one of their new media partners and how they're starting to get some different talent and put those pieces in place. What exactly will NBC do differently for NASCAR? Here's Brian France talking about that.
First, it's a priority for them. It's, and no disrespect to ESPN. I just said they're one of the great partners in that space we've ever had. They got a lot of things to focus on, right? NBC has chosen a different route. They have big, what they call tentpole franchises in the NFL and NHL, ourselves. And so right away, we're going to get a lot more attention simply because it's their focus. And they're going to use the assets within the universal platform, the E-channel, things that we don't think about every day, to cross-promote day in and day out. And when you create interest levels that hopefully go up, we match that with even better racing than we have today, which is our goal. We bring out our stars, which is something that Jill Gregory and others are working on now in our teams. Then they have something, to really, really promote. And that, by definition, gets, better TV ratings, better interest level, and more admission tickets sold.
I like the fact that it's going to be more their baby. ESPN, like you mentioned, is involved in a lot of different things. NBC is going to take more of an ownership to this, to NASCAR. They're going to put it on some of their other channels that they're affiliated with and put it more in the spotlight, if you will, and create more interest. I think that's good.
How do you create more interest? Have the ratings been dwindling away?
Well, I don't think that they've been as strong in the last few years, and that could be a product of the racing itself.
I can't remember which one of the networks that carried it, but I loved it when they had the picture-in-picture of what was going on track while they were at commercial.
That was ABC, I believe.
That's a big thing. For me, that's a big thing. Because that race, it's not like the NFL where the guys are, standing around on the sidelines for a TV break. The race is still going on. There's still things happen, and I hope they do that.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of different things, and I think I'm most excited about some different blood in the studio. I don't like going halfway through the season and then a switch, and you got to get used to new analysts and things like that. I don't know. There's certain guys I like and certain guys I just rather turn off, and it'll be interesting.
Buddy. Amen.
It'll be good to see some fresh faces. I think Jeff Burton's going to be a great addition as a color analyst for NASCAR.
And a lot of that has to do with being fresh out of the seat and a fresh perspective of what is actually going on, not what happened 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. And I think he's going to be a great addition to that. Okay, so Brian France, as good as things were in 2013, and the direction we're going is good. The new package with NBC. Last year there was, a big black eye, if you will, put on NASCAR due to the blatant cheating of Michael Waltrip Racing at Richmond International Speedway, trying purposely to take out another car. It was called by the crew chief
the itchy elbow.
How's your elbow?
Yeah. Signal being, how's your elbow?
Yeah.
Meaning now, turn now, and trying to take out a car to put their driver, Martin Truex Jr., in the chase.
Who was the one that really got hosed by this whole thing?
He did. He absolutely did. And, of course, I guess he gets the last laugh as he's not with them anymore. And Namp Auto Parts left Michael Waltrip Racing, and kind of a bad deal all in general, in general. Brian France commented on how he feels personally about the blatant cheating of Michael Waltrip Racing?
I was pissed off. I really want to know the truth. I was very angry about it, and but I also knew that I'm a student of, as you guys know, of sports. I don't know if I'm the biggest sports fan in the company. I kind of say I am, but I had seen, and I knew that if we dealt with it, and we dealt with it really straight on, that we wouldn't have a long-term blemish. It was going to be really tough, especially for the teams that got penalized, losing sponsors. That was no fun for anybody. But I knew that our credibility would be preserved if we did the right thing and we acted swiftly and over time. And so I wasn't ever worried about that, and so, but of course we were disappointed. But that's just the nature, I guess, of competitive sports. You got human beings trying to, do their best, and and sometimes they cross lines they shouldn't cross.
It was a decision of some folks at Michael Waltrip Racing that was more likely a $20 million decision, losing a primary sponsorship of Napa Auto Parts, and of course putting a black eye on that team for a long time, and Michael Waltrip personally. The Waltrip family it carries a name in NASCAR, and I think Michael is damaged it slightly, putting a black eye.
Slightly.
Maybe a lot.
That's putting it mildly.
So I think people can tolerate pushing the envelope. Fans can tolerate that, pushing the envelope with the rules and stuff like that. But, blatant stuff like that, taking somebody out, I know it happens, all the time. I mean, there's even happens on the local track, here at Rocky Mountain Raceway and that I've seen it myself. It happens, and it's just too bad. If you're going to beat somebody, go beat them fair and square. Beat them straight up. And but that's the way it is in competition, as Brian France said. All right, before we go to break, I want to touch on some other things that Brian France spoke about. He spoke about the incentives for winning. How are we going to change that? What are we going to do differently? And I think fans would like to see more incentive for winning, make a little more emphasis on winning, a little more special, if you will, to win than what it is now. Here's Brian France on winning.
But do I think we have it perfect in terms of the right incentives to win? I don't think we do. I think we can do, and I'm not willing to say exactly what it'll be, but I think we can do a little bit better. I saw some things, too, that I thought, not that they weren't trying to win, but that maybe the incentives or the risk might have outweighed that, and we'll be looking at that. I think the first thing for us is to get the rules packages in the best place that we can. And by the way, that'll be an ongoing. We get them right today; they may not be right a year from now. And so I would say, we're always going to look at that, because winning has to be the most important thing. Then it's balanced, though, that there are 42 other teams on the same playing field, racetrack, at the same time. So we can't have somebody wins, somebody loses. 98% of the field is going to lose. So we have to balance that a little bit. But I think we can. There's some things we can do to keep working on that.
I agree with him. I think that if you've got a bigger carrot to chase, you're not going to sandbag. You're not. I wouldn't say sandbag, but
you're not going to
points
race. You're going to go for it.
Exactly. You're not going to points race. You're going to go for the win. And some guys get caught up into that points racing, and don't give it their all. And I want to use that a little bit light, because I know that every competitor is still a competitor, but there are some that look more at the bigger picture than the picture of now, which is winning that race. And I think the incentives will help with that. All right, Brian France spoke as well about the reduction of officials and future technology in NASCAR.
we're going to technology, and which is the other thing I left out. So over time, you're going to see pit road technology. And what do I mean by that? I mean cameras. I mean different ways that we're going to inspect the cars using technology as much as possible. And we'll be using that data and information for fans as well. So it won't be that we'll just be able to capture or what you hear now is a buzzword is big data, right? You hear that word being used a lot. And some of the other leagues are looking at how they're going to use what they call the big data opportunity. And whether it's small data or big data, we're going to be using it. And what our hope is to do two things. One is to be even more accurate in how we inspect pit stops, pre- and post-race inspections. And we also want to be more relevant to companies, and you've heard me say this before, that arguably this sport should have a lot of technology companies, but we're not as relevant as we can be to them right now. We're going to change that over time. And, HP came in with us, on our Fan and Media Engagement Center and spent millions, tens of millions of dollars promoting that position and that technology that they helped us create and promoted the sport at the same time. That's our hope. Our hope is to let's take Meg Whitman at HP, and we get Meg Whitman to a race, and she walks around. I'm not talking about the first quarter of next year here. Okay, down the road when she walks around, and she looks at technology in a pit station. She looks at cameras and infrared and all kinds of cool stuff going on, all relevant, all important. That's going to make her feel a lot more comfortable about her company, her technologies, being a part of that. And that's what we're trying to do, pure and simple.
Interesting. Going to go more technology. I don't know how that'll play out. Hope it doesn't drive costs up. Maybe it'll reduce costs. I'm not sure.
Well, I can see him actually, instead of having body templates, having a laser grid that goes over the car with preset specifications, and there is no question. Well, is that template tweaked a little bit? No, you are out of compliance.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah, and
maybe
pretty cool.
at the beginning it might cost a little bit more, but
it'll cost
less. But in the long run, it'll cost them less.
It'll cost. I don't think it's a thing for the teams. I think it's a thing. It's going to be a cost to NASCAR.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes
out
over
if
time.
It's going to show up in the cost of your seats. Is what I was thinking.
I doubt that, but we'll see. I mean,
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. All right, and then final, before we go to break here, changes to qualifying in 2014.
I think you will, and it's the one format that we will deal with because it's not part of the race day event. And our goal is to make that a little more exciting, a little more interesting for the fans. The track operators have certainly wanted that for a long time, and they're right. And so we've been working on some ideas, and we'll be coming pretty shortly on that. And it's going to be more exciting.
Yeah, so, interesting changes in a lot of different ways for NASCAR. I'm pretty excited about the direction they're going. Hopefully it goes as we think it's going to go, rather than taking a step back. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about Andy Granatelli, the flamboyant racing figure who died at the age of 90. This guy was a big part of racing from all likes. We'll talk about that next. Racing Fan Radio right here, 1320 KFan.
I can read the writing on the wall.
You're listening to the #1 racing show, Racing Fan Radio. Brought to you by Beehive Bail Bonds. Only on the all-new 1320 KFan.
All right, the racing world lost a good man that's been a part of the sport, whether it was not NHRA, I'm sorry. What do I think?
Well, at least you've got the right sanctioning body on your mind.
Yeah.
Well, while you're trying to figure out what you're saying, I pulled some strings and called my peeps, and we've got another set of 4 tickets to give away for tonight.
Whoa, look at you go.
I know.
Yeah, go, girl.
I'm totally
Do we dare
impressing
ask
myself.
what you had to promise
you know
to get
what?
those?
I don't want to talk about
All right.
that, but I just am telling you guys, I kind of stuck my neck
boy.
out, so let's see what we can do.
So we got 4 tickets? 4?
Yep.
All right.
All right,
Another
4-pack.
another family 4-pack.
A family 4-pack to the the World Championship Ice Racing out at Maverick Center tonight, 7 p.m. Give us a call, 483-1320, 470-1320, or 670-1320, and we'll let Billy pick the winner. Yeah, you can go to the races tonight, the ice races at the Maverick Center.
Good luck, guys.
All right, Andy Granatelli, a flamboyant racing figure, dies at the age of 90. This guy was a race car driver who turned businessman, who became a household name because of commercials for STP fuel and oil additives. He died last Sunday at a hospital in Santa Barbara, California. He was 90 years old. He was the CEO of STP, which is a motor oil company and a major figure in automobile racing. They sponsored Richard Petty with the 43 STP car. They also sponsored Al Unser and of course Mario Andretti. Won the Indianapolis 500 as a sponsor with Mario Andretti. In fact, the famous kiss that Andy Granatelli gave Mario Andretti in the winner's circle right on the cheek is something that a lot of people will remember him by. But you know what? He wore his STP white trench coat on the commercials. You remember back then? You probably remember more than all of us.
I don't remember any of that.
No,
I don't
because,
think I was born yet.
Yeah, but Steve is old as dirt, and I know he remembers.
Absolutely. Andy Granatelli is going to be sorely missed.
What is it about Andy that you have the fondest memories about?
Well, just how much he loved motorsports, and he pushed it. He pushed the envelope in Indy cars for quite a while with the cars that Andretti drove. Do you remember the STP turbine car?
Yeah, that was a big one.
That was a big to do, and then because of his innovation and pushing designers, there was a whole bunch of rules came down. But.
Yeah, most definitely. He was known around the racing world as they called him Mr. 500, and a man that was very much loved. In fact, Mario Andretti, 1969 Indianapolis 500, we'll never forget the moment with Granatelli by his side. Here's Mario Andretti talking about Andy Granatelli.
And here's the checkered flag for Mario Andretti, winner of the 1969 500-mile race.
I wanted to win this race so bad that you can't believe it, and I still can't believe it's true. I'm gonna have to be pinching myself all night until tomorrow.
In Victor's Circle was the first thing that I thought, how sweet this is, not only for me, but I really felt Andy deserved this win. Andy Granatelli, for as much as he put into the sport, especially at Indianapolis, with the no-buys, the turbine cars and everything, and then coming on with me, I said, I'm glad that I was the one to give him his first victory. He definitely deserved that, and as you can say, he gets a little bit emotional, obviously. So I had to deal with that big kiss, and still smell the garlic. But great guy, great friend, and wonderful memory for me, because I think it put another premium to my victory there to be able to bring it home for him.
Andy Granatelli passes.
I can still smell the
90.
garlic. That's interesting.
Well, yeah, Granatelli.
Good thing you didn't smack him right on the lips.
I still smell the garlic when I interviewed Denny Hamlin in Las Vegas. I'm not kidding there. It's funny how you remember certain things when you talk with certain people. But that's quite interesting. And Granatelli, of course,
That
many
explains
years
a
with
lot.
Richard Petty. What?
Plus, when we've interviewed people in studio and stuff, you're always sniffing them.
Yeah, well. No, but,
This show has gone so wrong today. It's just bad.
Granatelli, it's interesting how certain people influence so many in so many different ways. Of course, here, Andy Granatelli, we talked earlier about 240 Gordie Bonin. What was it?
And what they call the other guy? 500 somebody?
240.
240.
240 Gordie was.
And then there was another
first.
nickname that was a number too.
Yeah.
Mr. 500.
Mr. 500.
Gordie Bonin. We spoke with Brad Janewshski earlier about him and how he influenced the drag racing community. And then, of course, Andy Granatelli, Mr. 500, influenced Indianapolis, a lot of folks there in Indy racing and of course, NASCAR. And that most notably with Richard Petty as the STP-sponsored car for many, many years. But his commercials were unique.
Oh, yeah.
He would come on and in a white trench coat with STP logos all over it. You'd see him walking down pit road with that trench coat on. That was kind of his thing back then. And boy, he did a nice job putting STP on the map for many years.
And did he pick the right people to promote his product?
Oh, boy. Hey, I remember when I was a kid and I'd go to service stations and they'd hand you the STP stickers.
Oh, I actually
And
remember that too.
I used to wrap them around my bicycle at that time. You know, when you're a kid, you put. And I remember getting those, and we'd go to the gas stations just for that purpose. Well, that's not why my dad would go, but they'd go to get gas. I'd go to get the stickers.
Yeah.
But that was the deal. I remember STP back then was heavy into racing. So I'm going to bring on Tom Zaleski, and he's with the St. George Spectrum. And Tom probably remembers Andy Granatelli. Tom, we're talking about Andy Granatelli and how instrumental or influential he was in the world of Indy racing, Indianapolis 500 with Mario Andretti, Al Unser, of course, Richard Petty, and NASCAR. What do you remember about Andy Granatelli?
And the STP spokesperson that he was. I remember the television commercials as a kid from the old Wide World of Sports days, and he did his thing with Chrissy Kanamaki. Was interviewed by him and Jackie Stewart a lot during the course of the Indy coverage. When back in the day when the Indy 500 was actually on tape delay and not aired live. Prime time. They moved it to ABC moved it to prime time on Sunday nights when I was a kid. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a big deal. And then, of course, Granatelli bought Tune-Up Masters in 1976 for a mere $300,000. Of course, back then that was probably big money. Later sold it for $60 million in 1986. So I think he made his money off that.
300,000, 60 million, and we haven't even hit the 80s yet. Oh, we had a killing in that one, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how a guy can put with how he was in the way he just did commercials and the persona that he had and how he was such a spokesman that he really put STP on the map and did such amazing things for a lot of drivers and teams back in the day.
Even toward NASCAR, because STP was a heavy Richard Petty sponsor on that 43 car back in the day too.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, he was.
And the difference maker across not just for the Indy car, but across all the other motorsports too. I mean, I don't know how it spilled over to NHRA, but those are the two memories that stick out with me.
Yeah, and I don't know who do you look at. I mean, I know corporate sponsorship is different today and how they do their promotion and their marketing, but is there anybody that you can think of in the world of racing now? Maybe, Steve, you might can think of some that are Andy Granatelli type.
John Force, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Kenny Koretsky. Kenny Koretsky and the Nitro Fish brand. Captain Chaos. Yeah, Kenny Koretsky's a big-time promoter, too, in
funny
the
you-
NHRA.
It's funny you both mentioned John Force at the same time.
Well, where are you going to go? I mean, really? When you talk about somebody, when you talk about somebody promoting a motorsport, where are you going to? I mean, really?
Yeah.
And I don't care what motorsport it is. Where are you going to go to find a better spokesman than John Force?
You aren't.
Yeah, most notably, or most definitely, and who in NASCAR would you turn to on the NASCAR side of things that is promoting it in a way that maybe Granatelli promoted it?
Oh, tricky. Perhaps and possibly Brad Keselowski to a small extent. Maybe not a heavy television presence, but enough knowledge and enough smarts to get the word out.
You know who really pushed NASCAR until he stepped in it was Michael Waltrip.
Yep.
With the Napa commercials, with the NASCAR Napa commercials.
Yeah, and
by the way, STP was a big sponsorship of Tony Pedregon Racing.
There's so many, and I'm going to bring it up, but it's probably very truthful in today's world. Who pushes a sponsorship and who has built their racing career off of sponsorship more than anybody? And I think it's got to be Danica Patrick.
Absolutely.
I mean, really,
Absolutely.
she hasn't done it off of her driving ability. It's been surely off of promotion and marketability.
She hasn't done it off of her driving ability?
No.
Sorry.
Oh man,
I couldn't help
we have
it.
to be,
That
we
was
have to be nice to her. She's there, and
No, we
Daddy
don't.
certainly isn't
What do you mean?
complaining 'cause
Whoa,
it's taken
whoa,
them all
whoa!
the way to the
What do you mean we have to be nice to her? That really is some low hanging fruit to be able to. I hope she never goes away. That's always one you can just reach up and smack.
Yeah, I thought for sure that 2014.
By the way, everybody.
I thought your New Year's resolution in 2014 might be a little more favorable towards Danica Patrick.
Yeah, that's so important.
Let me think.
No.
No, that wasn't even like top 100 on the resolution list.
Nah, top 500 perhaps.
You know, it might have been top 500. Now, let me think. Yeah, it could have been top 500.
Yeah, and certain people change certain things and do some amazing stuff to pave the way, and Andy Granatelli certainly has done that. And 90 years old, I guess it was his time to go, and surely will be missed by
Santa
many.
Barbara, not a better place to go. That's awesome. That or Hawaii.
I guess if you're going to go there, right?
Yeah. Santa Barbara's beautiful.
All right, hang tight. When we come back, we'll talk about a driver that is not faring too well right now, Michael Schumacher. Critical condition following a skiing accident. We'll talk about that next. You're listening to Racing Fan Radio right here on 1320 KFan.
The only racing show that is caution-free. Racing Fan Radio continues. Brought to you by Beehive Bail Bonds on the all-new 1320 KFan.
All right, final segment, Racing Fan Radio. A little bit of sad news in the world of F1.
Goodness, we've
Auto
had
racing.
2 people already pass away that we've talked about. Do we have a third?
I don't know.
Oh,
no.
okay. What's
No,
the sad
no,
news?
Man, I hope not.
No, Michael Schumacher, who is
Skiing accident.
7-time world champion, Formula One, sustained some serious injuries in the French Alps in a skiing accident. Had a brain injury, caused for bleeding. Reports come out about an hour ago that he is in critical but stable condition, but he is nowhere near out of the woods.
Not even.
Tough to see things like this. Tom, we hear stories like this all the time. What a tough thing. And it doesn't matter, I guess, really who it happens to. But of course, in this case, Michael Schumacher. You hate to hear anything for the former F1 world champion.
The thing with Michael Schumacher that was so intriguing to me is he's 45 years old and he's a multi-time champion, and yet here he was skiing. It was a part of the racer's mentality, I guess, for lack of a better word. You've got him. They're in search of any sort of an adrenaline fix they can get, depending on the type of personality they have. If they're type A and they're a go-getter, and Michael Schumacher was. He was out there on that outing, had a helmet, according to what I read in the accounts from what happened. Had a helmet and then still had a close encounter with a rock during the course of what happened with the fall.
Hit his head on a rock and it had to have been quite an impact. I would think, but man, tough deal. I hope that he can recover from that. You know, usually with those kind of
injuries are kind of scary.
Yeah, they are. They are kind of scary. But boy, did I tell you what? In his career, did he not do some incredible things in F1?
He was stellar.
Yeah, he certainly was.
Well, I think you could argue that he's probably the best that's ever been in the seat of an F1 car, ever.
Even better than a Niki Lauda and a Emerson Fittipaldi. Oh gosh, I can't remember any other F1 names off. Those are the two that really stick out. Did anybody of you guys ever see the movie Rush? You know, since we're speaking on that, when you go slightly off topic.
No, I had the opportunity. I was decide to go to see Rush or to go see The Snake and Mongoose, and you know where I went.
Snake and Mongoose.
Absolutely.
I didn't think Rush was half bad myself.
You know, I have not seen Rush yet, and I plan to go see it. I do want to go.
Did you hear good things about it? Did you?
I think it's one of those movies you have to really be.
The only thing I heard was Geddy Lee's getting old. Is that a different?
Oh, it's from that Alex Pert drum solo.
Is that a different kind of Rush? Boy. Well, Beck started it right off. First thing out of the chute. We're not even on the air yet, and he starts. You know, I got bus tracks on my back right when I walk in.
You know, Tom, earlier we spoke about Gordie Bonin, 240 Gordie, and during that segment, I come up with a nickname for Steve, and we're going to call him from now on Early Levy Stevie because he red lights all the time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, Early Levy Stevie.
Oh yeah, that's freaking awesome. Yeah. Oh, laugh it up, Chuckles. I can see you behind the glass.
Billy likes it.
Billy thinks it's hilarious.
Next time I'm up there.
Well, the funny thing is Billy's always really kind of on Steve's side. He's more
not
more
this
on
time.
Steve's side than he is on Shane's. And
Shane
this
had
time
the bus
it is,
coming.
yeah.
Billy tripped me in front of it.
Oh yeah, Billy shoved you right in front of the bus.
Oh well.
We need to put that on your helmet.
Hey, I got a great idea. Let's don't.
I'm going to find his fire suit and I'm going to put it right on his butt. The butt of his fire suit.
Oh, you're not.
Tom, before you came on the show, we also spoke about Brian France and some of his comments on different subjects. And, of course, those were how he felt personally about the blatant cheating of Michael Waltrip Racing, incentives for winning. I don't know if you had a chance to listen. Reduction of officials.
I did. I was listening.
Yeah, reduction of officials and future technology, some different things that way. Your thoughts on Brian France and his comments on some of those subjects, and then, of course, the direction that we're heading in NASCAR.
But prior to the Waltrip incident at Richmond, I thought he was a waffler, a lack of blew with the wind, the prevailing wind of fan reaction, rather than being proactive. You know, reactive instead of proactive. The fact that he took the steps he did with those penalties and trying to clean things up. Basically, when you've got a guy who's the big guy, the head honcho saying, "I'm pissed," that is a statement right there in itself. Just those two simple words.
That's a bad sign.
You make those adjustments. You make adjustments. You help make the product better. Now that NBC is in the mix for 2015 and beyond, that's another key step forward. Because let's be honest about ESPN. We love them as a network. They're still the live events are always still worthy of attention. But what do they do to promote the racing? They were more
Oh, they have
than
a-
the race broadcast themselves.
They have a ticker. Tom, they've got a ticker on the bottom of the screen that tells you top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're really, yeah, agreed. They don't promote it for crap.
In the years, and we wonder why the ratings were falling into the tank.
But right now, we know the race is over. We're interviewing the winner directly after we get done with women's softball. Yeah, I mean it is. You know, when you see and other things, I don't think they do the NHRA any justice at all. You know, when you're watching a college basketball game and the team is ahead by 50 points, and then they wait, go to the end of the game, interview players, interview coach. It's really.
Instead of a quick exit, you need a quick exit.
Well, I mean, the game's over. Let's move on.
Yep.
And I'm sure the players on the losing team are thinking, "Yeah, I still see the light on a camera. Good Lord."
Yes.
You know, in the next few weeks, we're going to start to see testing happening at Daytona. Of course, we can get excited here as we're going to start seeing.
Daytona testing's next week.
Yeah, that's right. And then, of course, we have the Rolex 24 coming up, and there's going to be a lot of announcements of who's going to be driving for which teams and such as that, and some of the excitement there. So we'll talk about that in our future shows. I do want to thank our guest, Brad Janewshski, who come on and spoke, who was a good friend of Gordie, 240 Gordie Bonin, and it was good to have him on the show. We appreciate his time, and look forward to talking a lot more in NHRA and NASCAR. And of course, tonight, don't forget, the Monster Energy Supercross kicks off Anaheim 1, and that'll be exciting.
The guy who I've had the pleasure to meet over the years, Ralph Shaheen, is your voice of the Monster Energy Supercross.
Yes.
Good time to watch. Good broadcast.
Yeah, he does a good job, and look forward to seeing what riders are strong tonight, and that'll be at 8 o'clock on Fox Sports 1.
Make sure you record that so you can watch it when you get home from the ice races at the Maverick Center.
Yeah.
Right, Ryan's a photo.
Yeah, he is. He's quite the rider. All right, Tom, as always, we certainly appreciate you. You have a great week, and we'll catch up with you next week.
I appreciate you guys as well. You guys have a good 2014, and as we go forward, looking forward to all of it with you.
All right, sounds good. There he is, Tom Zaleski, St. George Spectrum. Folks, another one in the books from Early Levy Stevie, Steve Schoenfeld, Leslie Olson.
You're such a dork.
Billy Hesterman behind the glass.
I'm supposed to go first.
And myself, Shane. You want me to do it over?
Yeah.
All right. All right, folks. We've had a great show. We appreciate you joining us. And we'll do it again next week, 8 to 10 here on 1320 KFAN. From Leslie Olson.
Here we go. Hey.
Early Levy Stevie, Steve Schoenfeld, Billy Hesterman, and myself, Shane Beck. Have a great weekend. Or a great week. We'll catch you next week here. 1320 KFAN.